Before anything exists, you're floating in the void with Eru Ilúvatar and all the other Ainur. No mountains, no oceans, no annoying hobbits asking for second breakfast. Just pure spirit and endless possibility. Eru decides it's time to create reality through music, so you join the great music of creation alongside your fellow spirits. Picture the ultimate cosmic choir. Everyone's singing in perfect harmony, weaving themes of light, growth, and beauty. Your voice adds its own thread to this magnificent tapestry of sound that will become the universe. Everything's going perfectly until Melkor, the most powerful of the Valar, decides to go solo. This guy starts throwing in his own musical themes that clash with everyone else's. Discord, chaos, rebellion. Instead of flowing rivers, his music creates violent storms. Instead of peaceful meadows, his melodies twist into jagged mountains and dark chasms. Most of the Ainur keep singing the original song, but his power and creativity are honestly pretty impressive. You find yourself drawn to these darker harmonies. Maybe you're tired of always singing about flowers and starlight. Maybe Melkor's themes of raw power and dominion speak to something deep inside you. Or maybe you just think his music sounds cooler. Whatever the reason, you start harmonizing with his rebellious symphony. Big mistake. Cosmic level mistake. The moment you join his musical rebellion, something fundamental changes inside you. That pure spiritual light you carried starts twisting into shadow and flame. Your essence, once dedicated to creation and beauty, becomes bound to destruction and terror. You're not just switching teams here, you're literally transforming into something else entirely. When the music ends and Eru reveals the vision of what will become Arda, you see your new role in this world. You're no longer a spirit of light destined to help nurture creation. You've become something the elves will later call a Valarauco, a demon of might. Only about 6 other Maiar made this same terrible choice. So congratulations. You're now part of the most exclusive and destructive club in existence. Melkor drags you and your fellow corrupted Maiar to his fortress Utumno in the Iron Mountains. The place reeks of sulfur and ambition. You spend your days learning to wield whips of flame and perfecting your terrifying roar. Think of it as evil boot camp, except the training never ends and nobody gets to go home for the holidays. Your new boss loves using you as his personal terror squad. When the Valar finally get tired of his nonsense and attack, you and the other Balrogs scatter to Angband, his backup fortress. Time to play the waiting game. You hibernate in the deepest pits for ages, dreaming of fire and destruction. Pleasant dreams, really. One day you're jolted awake by the most ungodly screaming. Turns out, Melkor, now calling himself Morgoth, is getting strangled by a giant spider named Ungoliant. Your boss needs backup, and you're the cavalry. You and your fellow Balrogs burst forth in a tempest of flame, driving off the spider. Morgoth is grateful, but gratitude from an evil overlord doesn't exactly come with a pension plan. Now begins the fun part of your existence, unlimited warfare. The elves have arrived in Middle-earth, and Morgoth wants them gone. You become his chief enforcer, leading armies of orcs and other nasties. Your specialty? Psychological warfare. Just appearing on a battlefield makes both enemies and allies wet themselves with fear. Your first major assignment involves chasing down this hotshot elf prince named Fëanor. The guy thinks he's tough because he made some shiny jewels. You and your boss, Gothmog, the Lord of Balrogs, teach him otherwise. After a decent fight, Gothmog strikes him down. Not bad for your first celebrity kill. Battle after battle, you rack up quite the reputation. You fight at Dagor Bragollach, crushing elvish kingdoms left and right. At Nirnaeth Arno Diad, you help Gothmog take down Fingon, the High King of the Noldor. These elves keep coming though, like the world's most persistent infestation. The real challenge comes at Gondolin, this hidden elvish city that's been giving Morgoth headaches for centuries. You and your fellow Balrogs ride dragons to reach the place. Dragons! Flying mounts for fire demons. Someone in the evil army's logistics department definitely earned a promotion that day. The siege goes well until you run into serious resistance. These Gondolin elves fight harder than you expected. Your boss Gothmog tangles with some elf lord named Ecthelion at a fountain. They kill each other, which means you just lost your commanding officer. Meanwhile, another Balrog buddy of yours gets taken out by an elf called Glorfindel. Both of them fall off a cliff together in what has to be the most dramatic death scene in military history. Things start going downhill fast after Gondolin falls. The Valar decide they've had enough of Morgoth's evil empire and send a massive army to shut him down. The War of Wrath begins. and you're facing eagles the size of fighter jets, elves with god-tier weapons, and Maiar who remember what you used to be before you chose the dark side. Most of your fellow Balrogs don't make it through the war. They die fighting against impossible odds, taking plenty of enemies with them. You, however, are smarter. When the writing appears on the wall in giant flaming letters, you bail. While your comrades make their final stands, you slip away to the deepest places you can find. You discover the perfect hiding spot, a network of caverns beneath the Misty Mountains. The place will eventually become the dwarf kingdom of Khazad-dûm, but right now it's just empty stone and darkness, perfect for a fire demon who needs to lay low for a few thousand years. You settle in for the longest nap of your existence. Time passes, kingdoms rise and fall above your head while you slumber in the depths. The dwarves move in and start their mining operations. For nearly 5,000 years, they dig and build without bothering you. Their hammering and singing becomes background noise to your dreams of better days when you terrorized entire armies. Then, one day in the Third Age, someone's pickaxe breaks through into your chamber. The dwarf who finds you probably wishes he'd called in sick that day. You stretch, yawn, and accidentally incinerate half the mining crew. Oops! Word spreads quickly through Khazad-dûm that something very old and very angry has awakened in the deep places. The smart dwarves start packing immediately. King Durin VI tries to organize resistance against you. Poor guy doesn't realize he's facing a creature that helped destroy kingdoms when his ancestors were still learning to forge iron. You kill him without breaking a sweat, earning yourself the nickname Durin's Bane. The surviving dwarves abandon their greatest kingdom and spread word of a nameless terror lurking beneath the mountains. For the next 1,000 years, you have the place to yourself. Occasionally some orcs wander in, and you let them stay as long as they keep quiet. You're not exactly looking for roommates, but they make decent security guards. Your realm becomes known as Moria, which means Black Pit in Elvish. Charming name, really captures the ambiance. Your peaceful retirement gets interrupted when 9 travelers show up. A wizard, some hobbits, a few men, an elf, and a dwarf. They're trying to sneak through your territory, which strikes you as incredibly rude. Don't they know you're trying to sleep? The wizard, who calls himself Gandalf, recognizes what you are immediately. He tries some magic spell to keep you locked up, but you've got a few tricks of your own. You break his seal and pursue the intruders to the bridge of Khazad-dûm. Time for a showdown. Gandalf stands his ground on the narrow bridge and declares, "You cannot pass." The sheer audacity impresses you. This little wizard thinks he can stop a Balrog? You step onto the bridge, and he breaks it with his staff. Down you go into the abyss, but you're taking him with you. Your whip catches his leg as you fall. Both of you plummet into the deep waters far below. The impact extinguishes your flames, leaving you as what Gandalf later describes as a thing of slime. Not exactly your most flattering moment. You grapple in the dark water, trying to strangle each other. The fight continues as you both climb through ancient tunnels, up the endless stair, all the way to the peak of Zirek-Zegil. At the mountain's summit, your fires reignite in the cold air. For 2 days and nights, you and Gandalf battle among the clouds. This isn't like your old fights against elvish armies. This is personal, desperate, and exhausting. You're both Maiar, both ancient powers, and both absolutely determined not to lose. In the end, Gandalf gets the better of you. He casts you down from the peak, and you strike the mountainside so hard you shatter rock. Your long, violent existence finally comes to an end. The last Balrog dies, alone, on a frozen mountain, far from the fires of Angband and the glory days of the First Age. But hey, at least you made it into the history books. Thousands of years later, people still tell stories about the terror of Durin's Bane. That wizard you killed became famous too, though he got better thanks to some divine intervention. Meanwhile, you're just dead, which seems a bit unfair considering you both fell off the same mountain. Still, what a ride! From angelic being to cosmic destroyer to underground hermit to legendary monster. Not many creatures can say they personally fought kings, wizards, and entire armies. You may have chosen poorly when you followed Morgoth, but you certainly went out with a bang that split a mountain in half.